Floating elements on page 242. The first content you'll display in the psychopathology homepage is the navigation list for the main topical areas of the site. Lists are displayed vertically by default, but Dan wants this one displayed horizontally. One way to accomplish this is by floating each list item. Setting a float. Floating an element takes that element out of the normal flow of the document and positions it along the left or right edge of its containing element. Subsequent elements that are not floated are then moved up to occupy the position previously occupied by the floating element. Figure 418 shows a diagram of an element that is floated along the right margin of the page body. To float an element, you apply the style property float position, where position is none, the default left or right. If sibling elements are floated in the same direction, they stack up, creating a row of elements, each aligned with the margin of the previous element. Okay. This is the effect you want for your navigation list. To float the items in that list, you'll apply the following style rule. Okay, there's a tip there. If there is not enough room in a container for all of the floating elements, they automatically wrap to the next line in the page. So besides floating each list item, this style rule also reduces the text to 87.5% of the default size, centers the text of the hyperlinks within each item, and sets the width of each of the 5 list items to 20% of the total width of the nav element. Because by default, the width of the nav element is equal to the width of the page body, the 5 links will be equally spaced across the browser window. So you'll also need to format the text of the hyperlinks so that they are visible against the black background. To do this, you'll use the following style rules. Okay. So let's give it a shot. cpstyles.css. cpstyles.css. Below the style rule for the body selector, right down here, we'll add this code.
Oh,
Hi.
is that proper typing technique,
It
Mrs.
is,
Weber?
it is not, but I'm recording right now, so I'll pause it. Okay, we'll save, Control S, and then on page 245 it says, next you'll change the reset style sheet rules so that the horizontal navigation list is once again displayed. So let's go to the restyle style sheet, or the reset style sheet, open with Notepad. Okay. And we'll scroll down to the style rule at the bottom of the page. We're going to remove the selector nav, horizontal nav, along with the comma separator and the space. We're going to save the changes, Control S, and now go back to our cycle. And now we can see mine is not correct, okay? I'm going to have to go back and recheck my code. Nav A, text decoration none. Okay, the hover works. So maybe I have the mistake in the other, in the reset file. Let's see. Okay, I finally figured it out. I missed a few semicolons. So this is what figure 421 should look like. Now we are at page 246, floating elements and the great collapse. You can go ahead and read that about Insight, but clearing a float, you can see where they're going to do that. Figure 422 is original layout. Then we have the floating element on the right, float right. Then we have last element is displayed only when the right margin is clear. Okay, so it floats at the bottom. So let's go ahead and go to CP Styles. And we're going to go to the bottom and add a new rule. Okay, then we're going to save our changes, Control S, and now we're going to redisplay it. So we got to go back to our other style sheet, and we're going to get rid of this down here, and we'll save it, Control S, and now let's refresh, see if I did this right. And now that's floating over top on page 248, just like it shows in the example. So, and so now he likes the background, he likes that, he stopped by to look at it. And now go ahead and answer the questions on page 249.